Full disclosure, the voice you are listening to now is artificially generated, brought to you by satisphonic.com. See the link in the description for more details. What's the most difficult truth you've come to accept? That there are people you cannot reason with. No matter how polite you try to be, they will still hate you. This is so hard for me because I just wish I could understand it. Book recommendation, Courage to be Disliked, covers this. Not all friendships last. I got sober and lost family and friends. It sucks, doesn't it? When I got sober, I lost every single one of my friends. All I asked was that when we were all together while I was going through the really rough part, if they could please refrain while I was there. Then once I got strong enough, they were welcome to do whatever they wanted. But it was more important to them to get wasted than to support me, so fuck their so-called friendship. I've been sober over 20 years now, and don't miss any of them. You really find this out the hard way after leaving high school, college, or when you change jobs. Yep, I try to remember that at the end of the day, no one actually gives a shit about me. The impact that I have on everyone's lives is not so substantial that they wouldn't be able to replace whatever role I have in their day. Today lives with someone else. It's easy to get comfortable and feel like you're irreplaceable to others, but truthfully, no one is, even 10-year long. Friendships and relationships can end in the blink of an eye. As grim as this reads off, it's a fact that I've come to learn, and it helps me deal with life. This sometimes hurts more than a breakup. Breakups usually have a distinct end. Friendships often just fade away. It kind of messes me up. You could hang out with someone totally normally, and neither of you have any idea it'll be the last time you see each other. Sometimes things will be your fault. Friendships ending, breakups, just general social missteps will all happen to you, and they might be directly because of you. You have to learn to grow from your mistakes and not beat yourself up over it. Do not regret your regrets too much. Nothing in this life will destroy you faster than you being unable to forgive yourself for your wrongdoing. Whenever I fuck up at work, I always say, well, they crucified the last perfect person. It tends to shut it down pretty quick. You might be the sweetest peach in the whole orchard, but some people don't like peaches. I commented this above. I'm a therapist, and one of the hardest truths people have a hard time internalizing is that we're not everyone's cup of tea, but once they internalize it, it frees them. They start living for themselves and stop living waiting for approval. The world does not care about my problems. This lesson got me through the darkest times in my life. I was going through pure, utter hell and couldn't see straight, let alone work out how I should survive. I wanted to, and often did, yell and cry and beg and scream at the entire world for not pausing and acknowledging the pain and suffering that my life had become. The world didn't stop. Nobody else was sitting in the dark and suffering like me. Even those nearest to dearest were still getting on with their lives, often as they were sitting right next to me, arm around my shoulders in comfort to sympathy. Their lives were still moving on. There is a line at the end of the movie Castaway, something like, tomorrow the sun will rise, who knows what the tide will bring. Realizing that the world didn't care, and certainly wasn't halting on its axis just because shit had gotten out of control for me. That got me through. It helped me to learn how to function in my new reality. It helped me look for the next sunrise, what the next tide would bring. It's a fucking tough lesson, but it's definitely the best and most helpful one I have learned. The fact that the only person who can save you is yourself is both equally harrowing and empowering at the same time. Raccoons just really don't want me to pet them. This might be the most painful thing in the thread. Not even our family sometimes. You can do everything right and it can still go wrong. It's not my fault, but it's my responsibility. I won't get better if I don't try. You dropped this. I have to make hard choices to make my life better. Either you make choices, or life will make them for you. Nice people aren't always good people. Not everyone gets a happy ending. Similarly, not everything happens for a reason, and not every problem has a solution. Sometimes things are just shitty, and they happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. But age, we all get old, though some die too young. Not everything is my fault, and not everyone is going to like me, no matter what I do. You're always going to be stuck with yourself. To repair your relationship to yourself is to repair your life and give yourself a solid foundation. If you're afraid to sit with yourself, take responsibility for your own actions, or work to make yourself a better person, you'll always feel lost. Sometimes people just suck. The only guarantee in life is that time will keep moving on. The good news about that is if you're going through a particularly difficult time, it won't last. But on the other hand, really good and sweet moments are fleeting too. Chronic pain would like a word. My mother doesn't love me. She hasn't looked at me with love in almost 10 years. Not since I stopped being who she wanted me to be and started being who I needed to be. I can't have my own life and my mother's love. It has been the hardest thing that I've had to accept. You can't love someone into loving you. It's not your fault if you're unhappy with your life, but it's your fault if you stay unhappy with it. Some people just don't deserve to be a part of your life. I'm always going to have depression. I found ways to deal with it, but it will always be there. As surely as if I had a physical handicap. It's hard for people to understand. If they wanted to, they would.